points. These are kind of connected. So let me summarize. Like one of the things which we discussed about so far is the attackers are attacking everybody on the internet. I mean, attacks are becoming democratized, especially with the ransomware guys. Attacks have become a lot faster, right? I mean, unlike earlier, today they can like scan the entire internet in a day and find out vulnerable systems, try to exploit. So we got to be fast as well. And then organizations, as you mentioned, don't know all the assets they have.
That I know, unfortunately, too well, the smaller, the SMB, the mid-market, or the startups, or even the small team in a large enterprise. You are overworked, over-requested, often not appreciated. You are generally trying to build a skill set, but at the end of the week, you're burned out from what you've just done the entire week, and so you don't really want to look at a computer or pick up a book or listen to a podcast about something new that you have to learn. So oftentimes in these overworked, smaller teams, the skill set, I don't mean this in a bad way, but it stagnates, because that's really what it is. They're working so much at work, they're learning the things they have to learn to put out the fires in that moment. They don't have the expertise or the skill set that is often missing. And one of the primary skill sets that's often missing in a smaller team is the ability to triage a vulnerability that's been identified and appropriately decide, what priority do I need to put on this? What risks does it create? What new risks are there? And do we have anything that's already going on that will mitigate this? Or what are our mitigating controls? That's something where I see ASM coming in, because it takes that asset list, that asset inventory, which sounds really boring. It's just an asset inventory. Sure, ServiceNow has been doing that for 20 years, but it doesn't have the security context around it. And that's ASM. It then takes that and says, hey, by the way, there's these string of vulnerabilities on these assets that, hey, if an attacker figures this out, it's going to be really bad. You should go and take a look at this. So that's what a good ASM does. It takes that asset list, it applies wisdom or expertise to it that maybe your overworked staff doesn't have right now, or they can't spend the time, 4 hours piecing.
Too many false positives, too many alerts. Like, wanted to know, Chris, your thoughts on how is the industry responding to that? Because that's one of the things which ASM has as a challenge. Like, it throws just too many alerts. Prioritization also, right? I mean, as you mentioned, prioritization, false positives. So what's your thought on this, and what's the future like?
Yeah, and the example of legacy vulnerability management shows you what's broken. It's noisy, produces a lot of findings that are low confidence. ASM can't do what that is doing. It'll fail. So ASM, even though it discovers even more assets, more broadly, more comprehensively, through two methods of interaction with those remote assets, either passive, which is similar, not the same, but similar as the legacy vulnerability management, or active assessments, meaning assets been identified. Okay, now let's kick off some programmatic thing that's going